Now I gotta ride or die.
So guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have this 2005 BMW 130i, probably one of the most underrated BMWs or new BMWs you can buy today. This car behind me has the 3-litre straight 6 260-ish horsepower manual boxed engine in it, which makes it very, I'm not going to say rare, but it is slightly rare for the newer generation BMWs. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a walk around like we always do. Now this BMW is interesting. I have had a look and there is not many of them out there for sale. I think new these are around £31,000, and for a 1 Series with a manual box with a petrol engine, that is slightly higher in price. So it meant that not many of these ever were made. That means it is slightly rare in a sense that there is not many of these around. I've just had a look on eBay. There's about 5 or 6 for sale, ranging from around £5,000 all the way up to £9,000. So they're definitely holding their money for what they are. So under the bonnet is the real talking point of this car. It has the 3-litre straight 6 engine producing 258-ish brake horsepower. Now that engine coupled with this chassis, what, just over 1,400 kilos, is a fantastic recipe for a good time, if I'm honest. That's probably my biggest talking point of this car, is that engine actually in this chassis with a pretty healthy rev range of 6,600 RPM. So you can really rev this thing and really enjoy it, especially with that manual 6-speed box. And this engine is really why these cars are, in my opinion, really good and underrated, because this car with this engine means that it is a barrel of laughs. And at the end of the day, this chassis and these 1 Series would usually be found to have diesel engines in it. To have a straight 6 petrol manual box is something relatively unheard of in these smaller, slightly cheaper, newer BMWs. Strut brace going along there, which looks to be factory, but remember this is an M Sport car, and although from the outside it does look very good, but it doesn't look as M Sport as maybe other M Sport modelled cars are, that engine in this chassis is such a good time. Now this being the M Sport model has a couple of little really nice bits, mainly interior bits that I've noticed straight away on this 1 Series, but coming around it is lowered on these really cool One Form Edition 2 wheels. They look really good. They set this car off really well with it lowered, sat on these 18-inch wheels. We have a little lip kit as well going right round the car, tinted lights all round as well. It just looks very good, and I don't think if you knew what you were looking at you would know what this was until of course you looked at the 130 badge on the back, and you would realise this has the 3-litre straight 6 in, probably one of my favourite engines in the non-M cars that BMW ever made. And in this chassis, again, this chassis is what, around 1,400-ish, just over kilos. Makes it a barrel of laughs to drive. I do like the rear end of the M1 Series as well. Very good looking car. We'll come inside and show you guys a few bits that I've noticed straight away. This has black leather with black roof lining. Something, again, quite hard to find in a 1 Series. It has the thicker M Sport steering wheel as well. So when you're driving this thing, it's got a lovely thick steering wheel, and it has a very notchy short gear lever as well. Very nice inside. They've aged really well, these things. This, of course, is a 2005 model, so it is the first generation of the 1 Series, but very clean interior. Looks very good, still contemporary, which is what we like. So yeah, a very interesting car, slightly underrated in the sense that I don't think many people bought these. Again, they were very, very expensive from the factory, you know, over £30,000. And this is an M Sport model. It has the 3-litre engine. It is a very, very good package, but we'll jump in the car, go and see what this thing is actually like, go and enjoy it, because at the end of the day, these are 5 to 8, 9 grand at the moment, which is strong money for a car like this. So let's jump in it, see what that sort of lightweight, smaller chassis is like with that 3-litre engine. Driving feel is what we're going to go off of straight away. I found myself a lovely cheeky B road. I'm going to go and see what this thing is like. Now, it is lowered and it has 18-inch wheels on it. Very good combination on such a small car like this. Must admit, it does look pretty aggressive and stanced properly as it's sat at the moment. My first thoughts are, though, this steering wheel is fantastic. The thick steering wheels that come in M Sport modelled BMWs are very, very nice. Now, power-wise, yes, 258-ish brake horsepower is nothing to turn your nose up at, especially in a small car like this. The naturally aspirated feel in this is what we're really after today. Yes, you can go and buy 335i, a little bit of mileage on it and stuff. I just think this is a good shout because there isn't many of them around. It seems very, very lively, not necessarily from the rear end, but you can feel the smallness and the tightness of this car when you do drive it, put your foot down, throw it into a corner. You feel that extra smallness of this car. It does feel very good. The notchiness of the gearbox as well. Very, very tight, very small throw in this car. Remember, this is an M Sport car and it is understandably got a little bit of M Sport flavour in it. But from the outside, you wouldn't necessarily think that this is how it is to drive, how it sounds as well. It sounds fantastic, like an old school BMW. I'm an old school BMW fan, and to me this note and this pitch sounds proper old school. A very small mix of old school and new school, this car, and that's the real reason I wanted to do this video. It feels old school. Chunky steering wheel, good bit of steering input. The gearbox is proper notchy as well, like a proper notchy old school, I'm gonna say E30. I've recently driven one and completely enjoyed the hell out of it, but it feels like an old school tight gearbox. And the smallness of this car, it's not a big M car, it's not an M3 or an M4, nothing like that. It doesn't feel cumbersome and massive on the UK B roads, which is the biggest problem with some of the new cars. I love the reviness of it, revving round to what, 7,000 RPM with that naturally aspirated 3-litre. I think this car is a good shout. It's not a car that I would ever look at buying if I didn't know what it was and I hadn't driven one. It is a very good shout for the money and what they seem to be commanding, because of course there is few of these on the market at the moment. I don't think it's something that you would expect from the factory. It is a bit of an odd scenario to be in. I think a lot of the 1 Series would have come in the diesels, or you would have gone straight up to a maybe 2-door 135. You wouldn't have necessarily gone for this sort of middle ground 4-door 3-litre model. So it is one, in my opinion, of the last generation cars that BMW would have made with a manual box, with a naturally aspirated engine. Some people may understand me and understand that for what it is. Some people be like, no, you buy a 135, no questions asked. You know, you would not go for a car like that. For me, it's all about the old school feel in some new cars. Yes! 24.1 mpg on this shoot. Been enjoying myself, done a bit of B-road bashing, done a bit of sitting in traffic. That's not too bad, in my opinion. I think you know, relative mid 25-ish for a car like this with an engine like this. See, I think if you're up for getting one of these, go and have a look. There isn't too many of them on the market, so I think you will be buying something that is relatively, I'm not going to say rare, but there isn't many of them for sale. So they are a good shout. Nice notchy gearbox, thick steering wheel, and they're a good laugh. Lovely little car this to throw around the English B-road. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Tell me below if you have one of these. What are your thoughts on it? What should people be looking out to look for if they're buying one of these? And why, as competitors, would love to go and drive a competitor car to this one. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
Take it all back, hate the things that you said, cause I wish you didn't mean it. I'm under attack, running far, far away, and I'd rather keep my distance from